Good morning. During an event to mark the International Day Against Nuclear Tests, the Secretary General called upon all states to sign and ratify the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, otherwise known as the CTBT. In the 21st century, nuclear testing is simply not acceptable, he said. It is not acceptable to destroy and contaminate the environment or for local population to suffer from radioactive fallout and other nuclear byproducts. The Secretary General reminded member states that despite the wide support, the treaty has not yet entered into force. It is not acceptable to prevent the treaty's entry into force, he said, and to withhold a valuable restraint on the qualitative and quantitative proliferation of nuclear weapons, a practical step towards their total elimination. Let us join together to make the most of this occasion to renew our commitment to outlaw all nuclear tests for all time in all places, the Secretary General said. And in a statement we issued over the weekend, the Secretary General welcomed the exchange of prisoners and detainees that took place between the Russian Federation and Ukraine on September 7th and commended all those who brought this to fruition, including President Zelensky and President Putin. He hopes that this important humanitarian act would serve as a positive step towards strengthening the confidence among all, enabling regular and constructive dialogue at all levels, with a view to paving the way to an eventual settlement of the conflict in the eastern part of the country. The Secretary General urges all relevant parties to make further measures in this spirit to ensure continued momentum in the ongoing peace efforts by the Normandy Four, the Trilateral Contact Group, the OSCE, and other actors, including by ensuring a durable ceasefire, ensuring humanitarian conditions along the contact line, and enabling progress of the implementation of the Minsk agreement. The Deputy Secretary General, Mina Mohammed, is on her way back to New York after spending the opening plenary of the 14th Conference of Parties to the Convention to Combat Desertification, which took place today in New Delhi. She told delegates that the scientific data shows that the massive effort to fight desertification and land degradation is painfully overdue. She added that a quarter of our greenhouse emissions comes from land degradation, while 1 million species face extinction, threatening ecosystems that provide everything we eat, drink, and breathe. The lives of half of the people on this planet are affected by desertification, land degradation, and drought, she warned. What's worse, the Deputy Secretary General said that the unhealthier our land becomes, the more dangerous the side effects will be. The efforts to combat this problem will be massive, she added, but together we can get it done. Speaking at a luncheon on climate change afterwards, she said that citizens around the world are demanding that we as leaders take bolder action to address the climate emergency. Young women and men are imploring us to lead and deliver on our promises with a clean and just transition towards a greener future. We cannot let them down, she said, and her remarks have been shared with you. And just an update for you on the Bahamas. Our humanitarian colleagues say that UN agencies conducted an assessment mission in Abaco Island over the weekend and will continue in the coming days. Across Abaco Island and Grand Bahama, airports and seaports are increasingly becoming operational. However, access to those impacted remain challenging due to damaged roads and infrastructure. The World Food Program said that 14,700 individual ready-to-eat meals have been delivered to the island. UNICEF said that over the weekend, a plane carrying 1.5 tons of life-saving supplies arrived in Nassau. The shipment includes over 400,000 water purification tablets, several 5,000-liter tanks, and for at least 2,000 people and at least 1,000 jerry cans. UNICEF says it was able to access Abaco on Friday, and the team there said it witnessed widespread devastation and destruction. Schools and hospitals are flattened, houses and roads have collapsed, with cars and boats hanging in trees. UNICEF is urgently appealing for $4 million to scale up its humanitarian response. Meanwhile, for its part, the World Health Organization launched a $3.5 million appeal to cover short-term health needs and other healthcare and other needs. The appeal includes $1.3 million to restore healthcare delivery in impacted areas, $500,000 for surveillance to detect and manage disease outbreaks, and 800,000 for safe access to water, emergency sanitation, and control of diseases. Back here, the Security Council is holding an open meeting today on peacekeeping. It was briefed by Jean-Pierre Lacroix, the Under-Secretary General for Peace Operations. He said that peacekeeping is an essential multilateral tool for preventing conflict, reducing the risk of relapse, and reaching sustainable peace, noting that the Secretary General launched his Action for Peacekeeping initiative over a year and a half ago. Mr. Lacroix said that political solutions, which are a prerequisite to sustainable peace, are at the center of this agenda. He pointed to the example of the Central African Republic, where the UN mission there has taken advantage of its stronger political mandate and robust security posture of its peacekeepers to create an environment that led the government and main armed groups to sign a peace accord in February. Mr. Lacroix stressed the UN remains fully committed to improving peacekeeping, but that the journey has just begun and cannot be taken alone. We informed you, as you saw yesterday on Yemen, that the members of the Redeployment Coordination Committee for the implementation of the Hudaydah Agreement held their sixth joint meeting Saturday and Sunday aboard the UN vessel in open waters off Hudaydah. In a statement issued today, the RCC members reaffirmed their commitment to the Hudaydah Agreement and previous understandings, and they activated the ceasefire enhancement and de-escalation mechanism that was agreed upon the last RCC meeting held in July. On this basis, a joint operations center is being established and activated in the UN mission's Hudaydah facility. The center includes liaison and coordinating officer from both parties, in addition to UN liaison and coordination officers. The Joint Operations Center will work on de-escalation and address incidents that occur in the field by maintaining direct communications with field liaison officers deployed on the fronts of Hudaydah governorates. The full press release has been shared with you. Our colleagues at the UN's peacekeeping mission in South Sudan welcomed the visit by Riek Machar, the chairman of the Sudan People's Liberation Army in opposition. He arrived in Juba this morning to meet with President Salva Kiir. David Shearer, the Secretary General Special Representative, said that this visit is a welcome step in the peace process as the deadline of the extended pre-transition period approaches. He voiced hope that the meeting will be the first of many between the leaders to build confidence and trust to establish a revitalized government of national unity on November 12th. And earlier today, the High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, said climate change represents a threat to human rights of a scope we have never seen. During her remarks delivered on the opening of the 42nd session of the Council, the High Commissioner said the economies of all nations, the institutional, political, social, and cultural fabric of every state, and the rights of all people will be impacted. There's still time to act, she added, but the window of opportunity for action may be closing. Her full remarks have been shared with you. And I urge you, if you haven't had a chance, to go visit the UNICEF installation up in the North Lawn. It shows the devastating scale of child deaths in conflict zone in 2018. It was unveiled this weekend. The display features 3,758 backpacks in rows